Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm checking. Heather's playing hooky, so they're going to see if I'm trainable.
Okay.
Seems I have such good attendance. She says, "Hey, Paula, will you cover it today?" So we'll see how that works. But
I think you and Dan Clement are you're the masters of that.
yeah, Dan's right up there. I thought there was one other person that was real high up there too, but who knows? But so, where are you nowadays, Rod?
I'm back in Minnesota.
Oh, bummer.
I'll confess, I'm back here now. We came back on the 26th.
So you're going to stay put for a while?
Well, at least until Friday when we get our second shot, and we'll be around for a while after that, just to make sure that we're safe.
Yeah, they say 2 weeks. And then after
Yeah.
that 2 weeks. It's been interesting because I drove up to Duluth yesterday and I was listening to the radio and they were saying that people who were, if both of you are vaccinated and you're with other people who have been vaccinated, you don't need to wear the masks and everything. And then they turn around and said just the opposite. And then in the paper, they had just the opposite. So I was curious.
Oh,
Oh,
Hey, everybody.
Good
I
morning.
think you just have to use good sense. Hi,
Exactly.
Shakira.
How are you?
Really
Good, so-
good. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Rod. And Paul and Mike,
It's
this
actually
is,
good to see Björkness too, but he doesn't have his camera on.
he has a smiling face,
And
though.
Dave Shaver.
That's right. You guys will have an opportunity to meet Rebecca later, but this is Rebecca Rowe, who just joined the SBDC and CLC. So we're happy to have her. Thanks for being here,
Great.
Rebecca.
Good.
Well, good to see you. You've got a
So
cool
how are you,
boss.
Mike?
I'm good. Sorry, we had annual meeting this morning, so I'm sitting here typing back replies to like 7 different people that were on it. So I'm kind of shifting gears. So it's good to see
Sure.
everybody. How's everyone else doing?
Oh, great.
I'll pull my list out here. All right, did you ever get around to updating the directory? You know
Me?
anything about it? Yeah, I
Yeah.
sent you an email.
I did. Oh, I did. I did the day you sent it. Because if I don't do it right away, Paula, it's never going to happen.
I figured as much. I just
But yes, I did update the directory. It looks great. Thank you.
good, so I'll take you off my list.
What list do you want to be on? Is that what you're telling me?
See, I've got this little list of everybody who has not gotten back to me. So,
Gotcha. Sorry, I updated it.
well, thank you very much. There's our Perez.
Hello, Paula. Hello,
Hi.
Hera.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, all. It's a beautiful spring day.
Another one. Yeah, we've had some really nice days.
Oh,
Gorgeous.
Why are we inside?
I agree.
Exactly.
I know why. I took my car in to have the oil changed this morning and I got 2 calls afterwards. It's now going to cost me $2,700 to get my car back.
Ooh, wow.
I need new tires, new brakes. Something went wrong with the transmission. Mark was sweeping underneath my car and found an oil leak. And it's kind of like, really?
Sorry, Paula.
No kidding. I was going to say that's one heck of an oil change.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I got chewed out because I drive it over in the pits too often. I know that's the problem. But I'm not giving up my diving.
Hey, Ray. Sam, nice to see you guys. Sam looks like he's on the beach.
No, it's just where I wish I still was. Whatever the proper terminology there is.
And in contrast is Paula's background.
Both beautiful in their own rights, but different.
The weatherman was saying 1 to 3 inches of snow by Thursday.
Stop.
Somebody shot him.
Somebody mute Ray.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sam, are you in Florida?
No, I was 2 weeks ago.
Were you? Did you get a sunburn?
Nope.
Oh, good. Any mosquito bites?
A couple.
How about alligators?
No alligator bites.
Well, I see our potential new member, Candace Zimmerman is here, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't want to steal Mike's thunder, but I don't know who was on the Bladec annual meeting, but boy, it was really, what a great story you told, Candace. It was just really nice to hear.
Yeah, Mike helped me out a lot. So again, I'll just repeat the message. He's amazing. And if anybody ever needs anybody to recruit for them, he's the guy. So I think, you know, and I can't believe it's been a year already since I've had those discussions with you, Mike, but everything he said, you know, about Brainerd has been true and very welcoming, very supportive, amazing schools. My kids are just thrilled to be at Harrison. So it's all been really great.
We're
So
lucky.
Candace, just out of curiosity, do you live in Brainerd proper if your kids are going to Harrison?
We live a little bit south of town. So if you head south of the fairgrounds, we're about 5 miles on the corner of 45 and 44. And we have a little farm down there. So
very nice.
Lots of projects ahead of us this spring, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm glad that you've enjoyed your first year, Candace. We're lucky that we got you up here. So now that we have you, we won't let you go. That's just a warning signal.
Yeah, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm not moving again. So this is pretty much it.
I think that's part of the welcoming strategy. Keep them here forever.
Yeah.
I'm going
Well,
to
this is
stall
a
for a
noisy
little
group.
bit. I see we have a little afternoon and we've got about 23 people on the call. So I think I will just stall for a wee bit.
Okay, who is 831-1301? I'm supposed to be taking attendance and I have no clue who that is.
Actually, Paula, that's Rod Osterloh.
Oh, Rod's,
I have terrible connections up here, so I've called in on my cell phone, and I can get the video, but the audio is terrible up here.
Okay, well, thank you.
So give me double credit.
your phone is just a makeup meeting, right, Rob? Right, Rod?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Looks like we have a couple more joining. Paula, did you have any issues getting Zoom started and everything?
No, not at all.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we're going to see if you can train, if I'm trainable.
right, with 26 people here, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. And if you would please join me in reciting of the four-way test of the things we think, say,
Say or do.
is it the
Is the
truth?
truth.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it
Will
build
build
goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial
beneficial
to all concerned? All right, well, thank you. And our invocation for the month of March is Sam Anderson. Sam.
So today, just something a little different. We're going to just spend a few seconds in silent prayer. I encourage each of you just to lift up someone you love or care for, and then I'll close it. So let's pray. Thank you, gracious God, for your many gifts to us. May we continually pour them out to bless others in the true spirit of Rotary. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sam. All right, and next is our introduction of guests, starting with our district folks. Past District Governor Rick Bricker, I do not see him. I do see our Assistant District Governor, Don Peterson. Hi, Don. Our District Executive Secretary, Gloria Menk. Do not see Gloria. And then our two committee members, Jill Carlson with the District Training Committee and Don Ryan with our District Crisis Committee. Again, thanks for you for taking your time to work on the district level of Rotary. Other guests, I see we have Candace Zimmerman is a guest today, hopefully for not much longer. Are there any other guests with us today?
Jennifer, I have a guest.
Yes, Hera.
So with me today is Rebecca Rowe. Rebecca is brand new to CLC. I think she joined us about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, or maybe I'm making that up. But anyway, she is one of us. She started in Interact, which is very cool, had lots and lots of service volunteer experience with Vista and Peace Corps. Came to us from the Small Business Association in DC and is now the director of the North Central Small Business Development Center at CLC. So she will be speaking for a few minutes later on. We're happy to have her. And Rebecca, fair warning, when you visit this group, they try to get you and they don't want you to leave. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Rebecca. Are there other guests? All right, seeing none. Rotary related announcements. Are there any Rotary related announcements? I know that the Rotary Foundation met today. I don't know if Mike or Paula have any updates on the foundation.
Is Mike here?
I do see Mike here. I
Okay,
see his
maybe
name, not his face.
We had a very short agenda today, so no grant applications, nothing major done today. Although I will have to say, there's still 5,000 left from what the club transferred to the foundation to spend on COVID-related projects or need with nonprofits. So if you know a nonprofit that needs funds right now, please, please, please get them in touch with one of us, or they can go online and fill out the application there too on our website. So I think that's about all I have to report.
Jennifer?
Yes,
This-
go ahead, Mike.
This is week, that's not
Oh,
Mike.
sorry, Don.
This is the second week of the PETS training for our presidents-elect coming in the district. We had a meeting last week and this by Zoom, and there'll be the last of the two today, 2-hour sessions. And I was very, very tickled about the attendance last week because I've got 5 Rotary clubs and I had 5 presidents-elect that were in attendance. Besides that, Jesse Hopkins, who was a year out, was there too. And that's the first time since I've been AG, I think, that I've had all clubs represented at the same time.
Very nice. That's great, Don. Other Rotary related announcements. I do have a couple. First of all, just a reminder that we will not be meeting next week in the traditional sense. Instead, we will be meeting out at the outreach of Brainerd in Nisswa to pack lunches. So that will be from noon to 1:30. We'll send an email reminder later this week, just so people, and maybe even another one on Tuesday morning to remind people not to join Zoom, but instead to go to the outreach of Brainerd. We do have 20 people that are signed up. I did reach out to Sean to let her know that we would be doing 3 lines. There's certainly room for 4 more if anybody else is interested and has not signed up. So I think it'll be a really great, rewarding experience. It's always fun to see their posts on Facebook. So that's one of my announcements. Another announcement is that I did just a little while ago get a email from Bob McLean that there is going to be a press release going out from Rotary encouraging people to get their vaccinations. So he just wanted me to share that so Rotarians were aware before it came out in the paper. A couple of other things, just to let you know that we do have some openings on the board coming up. We have one currently, and that's New Generations Youth. If you are interested in doing that, please reach out to me. Also upcoming is our PR position, and with Dan's retirement, that he's going to be stepping down from that position. Please reach out to me or Trevor if you are interested in that. And then also just a reminder that with Dan's retirement, he is also not going to be scheduling our speakers anymore. So Trevor will be looking for somebody to schedule those speakers in the next Rotary year. So any interest, please, please, please reach out to me or Trevor. And before I move on, just one last call for Rotary related announcements.
Jen?
Yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
Hey, I just want to just remind people too that the auction gala pro-am golf tournament is still on. We had our meeting last week, and oh gosh, we've collected maybe 20 bottles of bourbon for the auction part. Ron's been kicking butt. He's got a couple of golf and lodging packages. Madden's, Cragen's, Grandview are providing packages for that. There's a real chance, because the Canadian Golf Tour is Canadian and all the restrictions in Canada, the tournament could be canceled. If so, Cragen's is still going to let us have that night for the dinner auction, and we'll just do our own golf tournament Monday morning, similar to previous Strive tournaments. But anybody that has any, like I said, anybody finds any cool bourbons, bourbon, you buy it, I'll reimburse you. And like I said, we're just looking for, prizes for that, trying to raise money for Strive and New Generation. So that's it.
Thank you, Trevor. Other Rotary related announcements. Ron, I see you unmuted. I'm not sure if you had a comment.
Jennifer?
Yes, go ahead.
Mark Halverson. After the project next Tuesday, some of us might be wandering over to Roundhouse Brewery up at the Nisswa corner. They open at 2, so we'll have to walk around the building a few times if we're done at 1:30. So just casual social. So if you're interested, just show up.
Thank you, Mark. And I'll make sure that that's in our email if people are interested. When we send out the reminder for the outreach program, we'll make sure there's a little blurb in there too about those who are interested in meeting in Roundhouse after.
Thank you.
All right. Any other Rotary related announcements? Well, hearing or seeing no one waving their hand frantically, I will just go ahead and move on. I do not see Andy Rangan has joined us today. I'm going to give it one more look. Andy, speak up if you're here and I missed you. So then once again, I am going to be your sergeant at arms today. So I actually have a we have had some beautiful, beautiful days. And I sure hope that each one of you has taken advantage of getting outside. So if you have not gotten outside to do something in the last 3 or 4 days, I'd ask you to pay $1. I think one of the things about Minnesota is when spring comes, we're all smiling and doing our best to get outside and get some fresh air. With that, I would just open it up to happy dollars. If you have a happy dollar, just let me know.
Well, I gave my announcement a little bit ago about my being glad for all my presidents-elect being at the meeting. And I would certainly pay a couple of bucks for that.
I'll pay a couple happy dollars. We just got a new puppy, so if I look like super distracted, it's because it's a puppy. So it's been fun, but it's been 13 years since we've had one. So I go on and off my screen, you'll probably know why, because they kind of try to rule the house for the first, until you whip them into shape, so.
Julie, what is his or her name? Oops, you muted. Julie, you muted. Maybe your dog muted you.
She might have. Her name is Millie, and she's a terrier. It's our second Welsh Terrier. And prior to that, we had an Airedale. So if anybody's had terriers in their life, the root word is terror. So when you're a puppy, yeah, they're very energetic. So it's been fun too.
Sounds like fun. That'll keep you busy. Other happy dollars.
I have a couple happy dollars. So on Julie's note, so we have 4 dogs. And one is a puppy, but for 2.5 years, I've loved this dog, but I have also simultaneously wanted to kill her. And this is our dog. This is one of them. Her name is Lottie, and she's a Newfoundland. And this weekend, yesterday, I said to my husband, I do not want to murder this dog for the first time in 2.5 years. So Julie, I think she's the sweetest dog ever, but wow. So that is a big happy dollar. She weighs 110 pounds. She's a big girl, but yeah, so I know that you will love your puppy. And then the other happy dollar is I shared with you last time I was here that baseball and softball are back at CLC. They actually got outside. I have a picture later in the presentation. And I'll tell you what, it is amazing to see them outside and doing something that's so characteristically spring. So that's my happy dollar.
A couple happy dollars. We had our Bladeck annual meeting this morning. So anyone that had the enjoyable time frame to join us, it was truly spectacular. We had the fortunate availability. COVID does good things, right? That Shirley Bloomfield, the president of the NTCA, joined us for the national level with the Cooperative of Telecommunications. If you haven't heard Shirley's message and some of the speaking she does, follow up on our link. We did record the meeting this morning, and then we also have our Bladeck annual information posted out on the website now currently. So feel free to jump out there and take a peek at it.
I have a happy dollar. So last week I passed my Associate Certified Coach credential with the International Coach Federation, which is about a 2-year process. So it's a lot of mentoring with master coaches. It's recording coaching sessions and getting feedback. It's coaching in front of your peers and getting feedback, all kinds of different things, an oral exam and a written exam. So I'm really, really excited about that. And that part's done. And then also, yeah, thank you. And then also I am partnering with the Initiative Foundation to offer their Executive Roundtable, which is a 9-month coaching program both group coaching and individual coaching for nonprofit executive directors. So if you know anyone who could use that, or we all can use that, send them my way.
Congratulations, Paula. That's great. Other happy dollars. Chris, go ahead. Chris, we can't hear you. It looks like you're not muted, but we can't hear you at all. I see your mouth moving. No. Bummer. You want to keep trying? I'll move on and I'll circle back to you. Are there any other happy dollars? So I have one happy dollar. Since we won't be meeting this way next week, I'm going to share that a week from Thursday, my best friend from high school and I have decided to take a trip to San Diego. We are leaving on Thursday, coming back on Sunday. It's just a short little trip. Got one heck of a deal. And we have a hotel room at a Hyatt with a deck overlooking the ocean. And we decided if we did nothing but sit on the beach or on our deck or by the pool and sip gin and tonics, that we were going to be having one heck of a vacation. So I can't tell you how excited I am to just go somewhere. So that's my happy dollar. Chris, is there any luck yet? Sorry, I still can't hear you, Chris. We'll have to get you twice next time. Are there any other happy dollars?
Rod Rangan here. I'll try and share my screen with you. I was out enjoying the nice day, and we had an eagle fly right over the car, and we didn't have time to stop the car to take the picture, so we had to take it through the window. So there's a little bit of a glare on it, but it was really a beautiful setting.
Oh, that is gorgeous. You got his wings spread so beautifully, and what a beautiful blue background that is.
Yeah, I'm trying to stop showing my screen now. It doesn't really want to do it.
Should be at the top, red button somewhere. There you go. Any other happy dollars? All right, well, seeing none, thank you all very much. And next, we will just move right into our presentation. So today we have with us Hera Charlier and Rebecca Rowe to give us an update on CLC. So Hera, thanks so much for agreeing to present to us today.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's always a pleasure. I told Rebecca that this is a group that just cares so much about the community and are authentic and not scary at all. Not that Rebecca's scared off. She will not be scared off. There's no question. So we thought we would just give you a little update on what's going on in CLC. So let me see if I can share my screen, and I hope, do you see that? Okay, so want to leave some time for questions. And you know, most of you know the college fairly well. So my goal here with Rebecca is to talk about what's new and what we're looking forward to, how we kind of weathered the storm. As you know, we've got two campuses. I had to put these two pictures that are clearly not in the wintertime here. If you have not visited our campuses after spring break, we are open to the public again. We are in spring break right now, just so you know. We are open again to walkers and things like that. We would encourage you to come visit if you haven't been. As I always remind people, we are the community's college, and there's just a lot to do and a lot to see, and in a really safe way. So please come visit us. Everything we do is about these fine folks. I love this picture. You know, a few years ago, we bought these giant CLC letters. And I remember when our marketing folks said, we need these giant letters. I was like, we need what? Like, who needs giant letters? I mean, really. But they have become the energy that drives so many students. We've had the pictures of people laying on them and sitting in them. But, you know, throughout this entire past year, which by most measures is really the most challenging year we've had for many, many, many reasons, we really have tried to keep these students at the forefront of every decision that we've made. And we are so fortunate to have amazing students at CLC. This little infographic shows you about our typical demographics at CLC. So in the light kind of heathered section, you can see that we serve about 5,300 students a year. Most of you are aware of that, and that we are equally proud of our programs in liberal arts and career and technical education. This percentage changes, but almost 2/3 in this past year of our students are studying to transfer, and about 1/3 are studying in our career and technical education programs. I think most of you know that about 1/3 of our enrollment is in high school. So we're really proud to have lots of what we call college in the schools. Some other people refer to as dual enrollment. And we have about 12% of our students are students of color, which again, we're extraordinarily proud of and very, very proud of them. Our students are young. You can see here 68% under the age of 19. You know what, every year that sounds a little bit younger to me. I have to tell you, I mean, like, they are young. And that is primarily because so many students are high school students, and they are working so hard this year. We always have a lot of students that are considered first generation college students, typically about 40%. And we always have a lot of students that study part-time. In this case, this past year, 58%. And that's really because most students have to work. In fact, at graduation, we always ask when we are in person, for those who have had to work through college, full-time or part-time, to stand up. And it is the vast majority of the graduating students. So they have very, very, very busy lives. And it inspires me that they continue to prioritize education, particularly in a crazy year like this, where nobody would blame them if they just stopped out. But they have persisted. This little square in the middle is what happened in fall of 2020, and it's kind of interesting. Even though our head count, meaning the number of students, actually stayed the same or slightly went up, our full-time equivalent enrollment came down in the fall by about 2.5%. Nationally, you've certainly heard that enrollment in community colleges and all universities and colleges has really struggled. I'm going to tell you that at the end of this year, including this spring, we are probably going to end up being down by about 4%, 5% maybe in total. I've never been so happy about telling you that enrollment is down, because we had projected being down when the pandemic started by up to 20%. So being down 4%, we're like, we could weather that and we will recover within a year or two. So that's good news. You can see that even more students came part-time, and our number of first-generation college students approached 50%. So, these students are largely at-risk students. When we ask ourselves about the students that are most at risk, they are typically our low-income students, first-generation college students, students of color, those with disabilities. I recently asked our IR folks, what percentage of our students fall in at least one of those groups? 76%. So a lot of our students deal with challenges, and it's our job to make sure that we're doing the very, very best by them, because they are extraordinary. At the beginning of this semester, in the fall semester, we always have a new student orientation, so students know what they need to do and can be really well connected. And it was virtual for the first time, and weirdly, much to our surprise, we had more participation virtually than we have ever had in person. And we're seeing that happen in not every scenario, but several scenarios where perhaps students are just not comfortable coming onto campus, or they're really, really busy. And our speaker asked a question at the end of his presentation. He told the students, put in the chat or in a spreadsheet, one thing that you will absolutely accomplish this year. And I think a lot of us thought we knew what they would come up with, but we were really surprised. And this list has been shared many, many times. Everything from become an RN to become a CPA, to be the best me possible, to be a good mother to my newborn baby girl, to graduate with honors, to prove my place in this world and stand up to my anxiety. Our students are inspiring. They truly are. And every one of them has dreams. So whenever we talk about numbers and demographics, we always like to remember that every one of those numbers has a face, a name, and a story. And I think this kind of shows what our students are thinking about. So they certainly deserve our best. We have a strategic plan, as every college does. I will not bore you with the details of that plan, but if you need some reading material, it's all online. This little graphic on the right kind of tells you what we believe we spend our time doing. Our mission is that we build futures, has always been our mission. We take it really seriously and take it to heart. The whole thing is built on this foundation of our values, this thing that we've been working on called our culture of caring. And then we have a vision that has three parts. And by the year 2025, we want to be known as the college that inspires learning, doesn't just provide learning, inspires it, truly does advance innovation. And boy, has COVID challenged us. And that can demonstrate that we transform lives by the number of graduates that we have and the jobs they're getting. So that is our vision statement. This year, we did a little bit of a refresh. And we did that for two reasons. One, because when we originally did this vision, COVID had not ever happened. And we thought we should, when we first did the strategic directions, there was no COVID. We thought we should look at it with what we now know and how the college will be in a few years and make sure that that was represented here. So we looked at it from the perspective of COVID. And we also looked at it from the perspective of educational equity. And I mentioned to you that a lot of our students are at risk. They do extraordinary things. But what we absolutely know is when we talk about student success as a college and as a nation, we often talk about generalities or averages. For example, we'll say things like, 63% of students at CLC in a year are successful, meaning they're either transferred, graduated, or they're still enrolled working on a program. And that's actually quite good. It's really a strong metric. We could tell you that at the end of a fall semester, when they first start out, that's their most at-risk semester. And the beginning of that next spring and the following January, 81% of students come back, which is fabulous. But what we often don't publicize is that if you look at what that looks like for students of color, Indigenous students, low-income students, or first-gen students, the numbers are much, much lower, 5 to 10% lower. And it's not because they're not talented and motivated. It's a challenging problem that has very deep roots. And we as a college and as a system, most of you know, we're part of Minnesota State, 37 colleges and universities that have made the commitment by 2030, we will achieve educational equity. It's called Equity 2030. There should be no gap in our student achievements. So we had to make sure that our strategic directions, this deep, deep commitment was reflected. And it now is. So if you decide that you need that reading material, you will see both COVID reflected and Equity 2030 reflected. And I'm really, really proud of the work the group did. Of course, this is, I think, my favorite picture. Somebody gave this to me on a mug, which probably says that I say it's my favorite picture way too often. This was way before COVID, obviously, way, way before COVID, and it's not the entire college. I have the privilege of working with almost 300 people who care in a way that I have never seen before. We've been recognized on the honor roll of the Great Colleges to Work For program for the past 2 years, which means that we're one of 4 medium-sized community colleges in the country that rises to that level where people believe in what they're doing and have very high employee satisfaction. We're still working on this, and we'll see what happens when we do the survey this year, because it's a hard place. It's a hard time to do your work. And you all know that, because we're not getting that thing that we all love, that infusion of energy that students do so incredibly well. We have students here, no question about it. We're even in person, have been from the beginning, but we don't see them as much. And we don't engage quite the way we used to. And it's a harder time to do the work. So these are our best resource. So you might ask, our mission is that we build futures. How do you do that in today's world? Well, we have worked really hard to find ways to be personal, which is what we as a college are known for. We know people's names, the education is personalized, without being in person all the time. And that has been certainly challenging, but I'm happy to tell you that we're doing really well. One, of course, we focus on health and safety always. 2, student success is at the forefront of what we do. I had a parent call me and said, when will we be back in person? And I had to explain that we never were not in person. You know, when we had the stay-at-home order, we were not in person. But other than that, people have been learning in person all year long. But what we find is that students, employees, parents, community members, all are comfortable doing different things. So for us, the recipe is to ensure that instruction and support, so teaching and support, meaning food pantry, clubs, mental health, are available in all ways, in person, hybrid, online, and a new way that's high flex, which means you feel like coming in, you can come in. You don't feel like coming in, you can do it online. And that is, there are a lot of balls in the air, but we understand that we have to do that for students. So on the right, you see two of my favorite pictures. This kind of stuff has been going on at the college from the beginning. The far right, you can see this is someone working on some of our heavy equipment with a big smile. We've all practiced smiling with our masks on, so your eyes smile. I can't tell you how many times I've said, smile big so people can see it, you know. I do look a little crazy when I run into people in the hallway, students. I say, hi, how are you? And they probably think, that crazy woman, she's coming for me again. We're just so happy to see people. And then, of course, on the left, this is one of our American Sign Language classes, you know, applauding in American Sign Language. But as I mentioned earlier, while we will certainly have many more seated classes in the fall, we've always had a significant portion of our classes are online. It's what some students want. And sometimes we have had much better attendance and exposure to classes and meetings online. So I think we're going to move into kind of a hybrid world. And this year we're focusing on what's the student experience? What is it like to be a student at CLC? I will tell you, I am often guilty of projecting. Like, I know what it's like to be a student. I was a student once, a long, long time ago. So I should not project, but rather we will be asking students and doing focus groups and figuring out where the challenges are and where we can improve, because people are very good at telling us how great we are. We need to figure out where our gaps are. So we're going to be working on what that student experience looks like, not from my perspective, but from a student's perspective. And trust me, they are not shy. They will share. And finally, we've been focusing on our community. You know that career and technical education and transfer education are really important. We know that we've been listening to our community about what programs we need to develop, and we've been actively developing new programs that I'll talk about in a minute. And every time we meet, we talk about the importance of relationships with our students, with our employees, with our communities, with our businesses, with you. It is the most important thing in every single project we work on. So one example of those relationships is our Small Business Development Center. A lot of people have said to me, why are you so excited about having this thing? You know, it's funded by, it's not part of the college, but we are the host. And it could be funded in a lot of different ways with its funding. But we're so proud to have the SBDC here and so happy to have Rebecca Rowe here. So in the next slide, Rebecca's going to talk for just a couple of minutes about the cool things happening at the SBDC North Central. And I know that many of you know that. So I'm going to mute for a minute. Rebecca.
And thank you to Hera for inviting me here today. As she mentioned, I'm new as the director of the North Central Small Business Development Center, and I'm very glad to be here. A little bit background on the SBDCs. SBDCs provide guidance and support to help start, sustain, and grow businesses. And there are 9 SBDCs in the state of Minnesota. So the North Central SBDC serves 11 counties, and these 11 counties have over 351,000 residents and over 34,000 business establishments. SBDCs are private public partnerships, PPPs, and they're cooperatively funded by the federal government, the state government, and local services. So the SBA typically provides around 50% of the funding for SBDCs, and our state partners, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. As Hera mentioned, we're hosted by Central Lakes College, and we're very happy to have Central Lakes College as a key partner of the North Central SBDC. We have many other partners throughout the community, including the Initiative Foundation and Cass County. Those are just a couple of the partners with whom we work very closely. If we look at calendar year 2020, the North Central SBDC, including Julie Anderholm, who's on this call today, provided about 3,200 hours of counseling to 520 local entrepreneurs and businesses. I think it's important to recognize that we work with entrepreneurs who are pre-venture, as well as businesses, startups, and businesses who are in business. So within calendar year 2020, we facilitated access to about 20.2 million in capital for business investments. And the North Central SBDC provided over 800 hours of technical assistance to businesses to help manage the impact of COVID. Finally, I've included the websites of the North Central SBDC, the Minnesota SBDC, as well as more information about the United States SBDCs who are located in all states throughout the nation, as well as my contact information. I'm happy to talk further about any of the data that I've included or the work of the North Central SBDC. Thanks, Hera.
Thank you, Rebecca. You know, and I do have to say that, and I shared this with Rebecca, when I first came here, which sometimes seems like 30 years ago and sometimes seems like yesterday, but it was really about 4.5 years ago. Some of the first connections in the community, when people stopped me and said, wow, you know, the college is a great place, we're just recounting the appreciation for working with consultants just like Julie at the SBDC and the recognition of the role in the community. So I right away knew how important that SBDC was. It's been part of many colleges that I've been a part of across the country, but I've certainly never seen one quite this engaged. And we just want to thank you for all your support. So it's a great example of relationships. I promised you that I had one picture of baseball. You know, they got really excited on that first warm day last week. He said, we're going outside. I said, outside? Isn't the field have snow on it? They said, we're going to the parking lot. And they were so excited about it, I cannot tell you. And on this same day, right before they went outside, our coach opened the door to the gym. I said, hey, can I stick my head in there? They were batting. And I said, I just want to stick my head in. I stuck my head and you could hear them in the batting cages in the gym. And he said, Hera, that is the sound of spring, the crack of the bat. And I said, you're absolutely right. So good things are happening. And this is just, I think, a reflection of the fact that while we've been very safe, more and more activities are now happening. Our pandemic team has made some big strides in making sure that some of the traditional events and gatherings are going to be able to happen in a slightly different way. I'm happy to tell you that we even have decided that we can have fans on our baseball games. Now, I know that some people don't find that a big deal. I do. We weren't sure if that was going to happen. So love this picture. The last thing I want to share with you about is that as we work to build futures in today's world, it's been an interesting year because if you asked anyone in higher ed or K-12 or really all of your businesses, many of us talk about the work of just getting through COVID and the here and now, the putting out the fires, the waiting for the guidance to change. And a lot of our year has been that, but we absolutely know this college has been here since 1938. It will be here for another 100 years. And we will not continue to thrive if we just put out fires and, do what we have to do. So we've been doing a lot of investment in our future, both in ramping up in-person activities, which we have to do, but plenty of new programs, new technologies, and facilities renovations. So this is just a snapshot of them. And I can answer specific questions about any of them. These are the new programs that we expect to be coming on board either this fall or shortly thereafter. Everything from a Human Service Associate of Applied Science degree and a very exciting Music Associate of Fine Arts degree to a new diploma in Marine and Power Sports. So in this unique part of the world where, where I came from, when you said a Marine and Power Sports program, people they'd say, a what? Well, here, we all know what Marine and Power Sports are. We have a 2-year degree that is being compressed into less than a year. So students can really get in, low investment, intense hands-on time, and get right into these great jobs. And then we have a number of transfer programs in business and history that have been launched. We have now over a dozen of them. These are just the new ones, and that means that students can start here and transfer in that major to a 4-year institution as a junior with no additional credits, which has to be the way it is. And then we just launched our culinary arts certificate. And sneak peek, we're now looking at a program called meat cutting. Yes, meat cutting, butchery. If you ever told me that we'd be looking at that, I would have said, I don't think so. But I'm telling you, there is a tremendous need in this rural region for that skill set. So we're working on that as well. Lots of new partnerships. I will not share all of these. I'm going to highlight a couple. One is on the right is one of my favorite pictures. This is a grant-funded aeroponics, hydroponics pod that is funded by a grant and that is on our Staples campus. It really, from the outside, is simply a shipping container, but it's entirely outfitted with everything you need to grow vertically. You propagate up to an acre of ground in this single shipping container. And this year we have harvested in the winter 540 pounds of kale. Now we're required to grow kale because that's what the grant and the research is about. Not a lot of people get excited about kale, but once we get through the grant project, I like kale, but I don't want 500 pounds of it. Once we get through the research project, we can grow whatever we want in Minnesota, local foods year round. And we're very excited about that. I mentioned our culinary arts program, which would not be possible without tremendous partnerships. All of the local restaurants and resorts came together to determine what that program should consist of and how fast that program should move. Really proud of that. And students in that program will actually go to internships at local businesses. So it's a perfect example of what can happen with partnerships. And then on the student support side, I think one of the things that we hear a lot is that academics are always hard, but students, it's tough to be a student. And it's particularly tough now, right? Students are truly struggling. So tremendous scholarship support always goes to our students, and our donors have been tremendous. But our services, like our food pantry and free mental health services, have received record numbers of people accessing them. And it's been amazing to watch those happen through partnerships and very creative ways to get people into the food pantry when a building's closed. Lots of drop off, lots of curbside. But these are just as important as any program, because we know that if a student doesn't have what they need to make have their basic needs met, they certainly cannot be successful in those programs that I have at the top there. If COVID has done anything, it's talked about technology and the needs and the limitations. And there are lots of things that are coming in the future. We're looking to invest in a mobile CLC app that our students tell us they absolutely need. Most colleges, CLC included, we email our students. I'm here to tell you that that is not considered to be a current way of communicating. It's just not. Students don't email. So we have struggled along with every other institution of higher education with how to communicate. So it probably will be through a mobile app. And then lots of investment, both through the college and through some COVID relief dollars, to be able to invest in technologies so that we really are not just technology ready in our instructional spaces, but advanced technology ready. So most of our spaces where faculty are teaching now, we have one type of format called high flex, which means a student can come in or not if they're comfortable. A faculty member can teach from the classroom or not, depending on what's happening in the world. Most of those classrooms are outfitted with a camera called an OWL, which has been around for a long time, but we haven't had the ability to put them in so many classrooms. They are cameras that track the faculty members. So the faculty member can move around, interact, and be in the room with students, and also be streaming that to other locations. So we know that those things are important. And then finally, lots of new facilities. We're looking at a multicultural center. We just updated our athletic buildings. We certainly are excited about a new roof on the Brainerd campus. You know, if you've asked me in the last 4 years, what's our most pressing need? We have a roof that leaks, and I mean it leaks. So we got money from the state and are really happy about that roofing project. As people in the state say, roofing, it's not sexy, but man, is it important. So we're getting one of those, and we're still have a bonding project in to renovate the core of the Brainerd campus to make sure that when you walk in the door, you know exactly where to go and you see a smiling face. Right now we have a beautiful space, but that is not the case. You have to read a bunch of signs, and it's very difficult for at-risk students. So those are the things that are on the horizon that we've been working on in the midst of COVID. The future is extraordinarily bright. we certainly not only have weathered this, but I can promise you we are going to be better on the other side. We've learned how to be personal, even when you can't be in person, and to make investments when you really feel like you don't have the time or the energy. So I could not be prouder of the teams that work on behalf of our communities and our students. And I'm really proud of the fact that when we ask questions about what we should do next, they absolutely tell us. They tell us what goes well. They tell us what is not going well. And I don't know how I landed here, but I am absolutely grateful each and every day, and very grateful to have Rebecca on board as well. So I am going to stop sharing if I can figure out how to do that, because something super odd has happened with my screen, but I will figure that out and hopefully, did it work? Good. Any questions?
All right, I'd like to comment. This is Paula.
Sure.
You've done a wonderful job with your VA center over there. I don't know if you want to bring that up at all, but Mark works a lot with veterans, and you've gotten state and national recognition for that, haven't you?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. The Veterans Resource Center, if you are not familiar, you know, CLC has 41 doors on the Brainerd campus. I don't know how that is possible, but it is. You can come in door 24, which is the main door, and the vet center is on the right side. It was the first vet center in the state, and it's a perfect example of how, you know, we every day get to stand on the shoulders of the people like Ray Gildow who have come before us. And you know, the people who created the vet center had a vision for a place that veterans, both who are students, military families, and community members, could come, get support, have connection, no matter where they are in their lives. And the vet center is just that. The model is exactly what we're considering for something like a multicultural center, but it is absolutely this hub. It's a hub of the campus. And when we have deployments, as we know are happening now, both to the Chauvin trial as well as the Middle East, it's the information coming out of that center and the support that the community gives to that center that allows it to be the place that our vets, who we owe a great deal to, truly, truly need. And Don Pfeffer is he really is the father of our Veterans Center, and it's awesome, just awesome when we get to see him. So that's one example of some cool things that happen that don't have to on this wonderful place. It doesn't have to happen. We don't have to have vet center, but now we do, and we always, always will, because of the vision of people like you. Thanks, Paula. Any other thoughts, questions?
All right, can I, a comment and a question?
Go ahead, Adam.
Adam, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a comment first. You know, what great leadership you've brought to the community college, but you know, with the relationship I've had with you on the Essentia Health board, and then we were both on the chamber board together at one time. You know, I just want to just thank you as a leader who gives, you know, shares your wisdom, your talents, your wonderful values so generously with other organizations in the community. So I know you're blessing the college, but you're blessing many other organizations as well.
Thanks, Adam. I don't have any wisdom, but I have learned so much. And just like Candace said, there's something very special about this community. It's almost hard to put your finger on it. And I've told you, we've lived in a lot of different places, but it is a special place with people who really, really care. And that's really easy to give back to, and really hard to ever think about leaving. So we do a good job. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, just now I have a question for you.
Oh, sorry.
So knowing that you have this keen insight and your colleagues at the college into younger people, and I know you're very sensitive to kind of future employment trends. We know that this kind of central area in Minnesota is going to have some serious manpower, people power shortages. And we're going to have to figure out new ways of being, you know, even more attractive to especially young people to consider really coming, working full time, you know, having their families in this community. And knowing that, that probably means more diversity in the community. What have you been learning from the college kids and just the community? How can the community be better prepared to be more welcoming to young people in general, younger families, but also maybe a bit more open to, some of the differences that different people might be bringing, from whether it's cultural, religious, racial, whatever the difference might be?
Adam, I think that's a great question, one that we talk a lot about here. So as I mentioned, I know you're not talking only about racial differences, but it's a good example. We're 12% students of color compared to the county, which is 3 to 4, depending on the year. So we're proud that we help bring diversity to this area. But as you mentioned, that diversity is in perspective, is in background, it's religious, it's generational, it's racial, it's a lot of different things. And I think as a community, we have in the last year seen a tremendous willingness to talk about and think about how things will change in the future. And you're right. I mean, we know that because of expected high school graduation rates and many other things, that we're going to have fewer people who are ready to take the fabulous jobs in this area. And we all expect the economy to recover and for unemployment rates to be low. And I have not been part of a single workforce meeting in the last 4.5 years that when we say to a business, what's your issue? Everyone, workforce. I need people. I need people who will come, pass a drug test, be honest, be hardworking, go to work. So we know that we can't afford to live in a community that isn't welcoming to everyone. And we can't afford to have programs that every student doesn't have the same opportunity to succeed in. So, I think that I don't have the answer to your question. If I did, we would all be there by now. But from the perspective of the college, I will tell you that we are very willing to be very uncomfortable. We have been part of lots of community conversations about why is it so hard to understand various perspectives. And those could be political perspectives or life perspectives. And at an institution like ours, that's where this dialogue is supposed to happen. It seems even harder now in the way the landscape is in our world to have those dialogues. So we have put concerted effort into creating spaces, to talking about things that are difficult, being really honest about, we just had a conversation about implicit bias and how I have made countless mistakes in talking to people who I thought I was saying things that made sense. And now as I reflect on them, I was like, well, that really wasn't the most sensitive thing. So we've tried to create a space where we can all grow together and learn together, because I believe that we will all have to do that to create the space where everybody truly does feel welcome. And it's the way it has to be, not just because it's the right thing to do, but economically, this area needs every single person to be successful. So yeah, Adam, you're speaking to something that's near and dear to my heart, and not a lot of answers, but lots of bold conversation.
I've got a comment to make.
Hi, Don.
Not really a question, but I had occasion to see and listen to Rebecca speak up at the Central Lakes Rotary Club when she was featured on their program. She has got a very interesting story, and she does a good job of telling it.
Love that. Well, Dawn, I heard about that story, but I didn't get to hear it. So we'll have to hear Rebecca's interesting story. She's got a rich background, and you now know why we were so happy to get her.
Yes, I do.
Thanks, Dawn. Hi, Ron.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
It's great to hear your talk today. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but our organization with Strive, of which you're a strong participant in, is trying to look at some ways of expanding that organization. And actually, I'm here in Phoenix today, and I've actually been addressing a couple Rotary clubs here in Phoenix about a thing they call here in Phoenix, Elevate Phoenix. And it's a mentoring program that takes you from the college alumni down to the college, down to the high school, down to the elementary. And as you and I are both aware right now, we really focus on high school. So I'm going through a lot of blabbing. I don't want to involve everybody here that doesn't want to hear it, obviously. But I would like to give you a call so I can take you through the program and solicit your help as we design it. Because what we have here in Elevate Phoenix is not what we need in Brainerd, Minnesota. And I'm totally aware of that. But if you would talk to me, I'd love to get your input on the thoughts about how we can further develop a program. Thank you.
I would love that, Ron. And you know, one of the things that we always talk about is everything we do at CLC is about the community. It really is. That's why we're talking about meat cutting, because somebody from the community came and said, you need this. And we went, we need what? It's all about the community. And a community cannot be successful if we think about students as their students and then our students. I mean, these are all our youth. This is our community. And I think the connections that we build and the mentorship that can continue through is huge. So yes, please reach out. I would love that. I will shoot you an email so you have my cell phone number. I'll put it in the chat, Don, so that you've got it. The whole world has a cell phone number, so feel free to call me. Nobody does.
And I don't want this to sound like I'm a lone ranger here, but Brad is involved with us. Trevor is involved with us. And so it's a program that we all need to talk about. All right.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Don. Ron. Jennifer.
So I actually have a question for Rebecca, and I know you've only been here a month, but I'm just curious if you happen to know how the 2020 numbers for the SBDC compared to 2019. Just curious how COVID affected the SBDC.
That's a really good question. And unfortunately, no, I do not have an answer for you at this point in time. I am a very data-oriented, quantitative individual. And so I very much enjoy digging into this data and better understanding the work of the SBDC over the years. Something though that I have been working on is kind of looking at the clients we serve by county, because we do work in an 11 county region. And so it's been interesting to kind of see where we have potentially gaps in services. But yes, I think I am going to look at past years. Julie might be able to talk about this as well, is that we also kind of did there's a different kind of segment of data where we respond to inquiries and calls versus just providing counseling. And so I'll let Julie maybe mention something.
Yeah, and two of the metrics that I keep track of obviously is consulting hours, and my consulting hours were definitely higher in 2020 than 2019, partly because, from March through really June, it was a ton of PPP and idle questions, and they still continue now. So I had a very busy year, as well as from a lending standpoint or loan packaging. And it wasn't all PPP and idle loans. We did a fair amount of bigger projects too in 2020, which might surprise people. So it'll be interesting to see what Rebecca that's from my perspective, but when we put everybody together, where things are at. But I had a very busy year, and so I was thankful that I could do everything from my home, and I think we were pretty successful at doing that. So
thank you very much. And this sounds like this could be a Rotary presentation in and of itself. So Rebecca, don't be surprised if you get a call. Julie also, so thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And Julie, thanks for your service. Really, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks for listening. It's always fun and always good to be here with you guys. It's a great group. Thanks again.
Thank you both, Hera and Rebecca, for taking the time to come speak to Rotary. And I'm serious. I mean it. I think Dan sets up some of the coolest presentations. This certainly was one of my favorites. So thank you very much. Is there anything else to come before Rotary? All right, seeing none, just a reminder, we will not be meeting next Tuesday, but instead be at the Outreach of Brainerd. So I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great rest of your week.